thought you were an English person.
I
A
am
little bit
not an
surprised.
English. I am about as far from an English person as you can get. I live in Southern Ohio.
Ah, okay. I've actually got family in Southern Ohio.
Do you really? Where do they live?
I'm kind of wondering why your name looks so familiar to me.
Oh
Oh,
no!
yeah, I was looking at Rainey going, oh God, that looks really familiar. They live in the tri-state area, the Southern Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia part of the
Okay, so around Portsmouth, Marietta.
Proctorville, Huntington.
Oh, okay, okay, awesome. Very good. There are a lot of Rainies down there.
Oh, there. Okay, maybe
There
it is.
are.
It's an Appalachian name.
It is, yeah. we're,
Are
we're
you?
just a bunch of hillbillies.
There's nothing wrong. My dad's from Wayne, which is Fort Gay.
Yeah.
It's like the worst place you could possibly be from in West Virginia, and he crawled out of that and became a major in the army somehow.
There you go.
it, I think people from that area are real rugged, right? I mean, they can conquer pretty much anything. It's kind of hard to dig holes in the ground and
We
carry
try.
rocks to the surface.
Right. Hold on. I've got
Right?
some. Let me try something real fast with my headphones. Real fast.
Is it me? Do you hear something off on my end?
I got it. It's me.
Okay,
I had it in the my laptop is very stripped down, so I'm actually using my boyfriend's computer, and I don't
gotcha.
know where he's got two monitors and all kinds of stuff, and now I got to figure it out. We're good.
Your boyfriend sounds like me.
Yeah.
I've got three monitors going on and a TV just for
Oh
whatever.
gosh. Takes
And
up.
the more monitors I set up, the more I need. It's like, damn it, I need another one. Shoot.
Expand the battle station.
Is your significant other also an artist or a writer?
You know what? No, we are totally. He's a serious gamer.
Okay.
Yeah, like hardcore, and likes reading and watching things, but does not really create himself.
The reading part is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he is always. There's always a good feedback.
Well, my wife is unfortunately the first person that gets all of my fiction. I will put it right
Right.
into her hands. And I write a lot of fiction, so this poor woman is constantly reading short fiction.
Like, here you go.
Here's another one, babe. Oh, that look on your face must be excitement. I'll hurry up and write another
Exactly.
one.
And when you're done with that one, hey, I've got 3 or 4 more over here.
Are you a short fiction author yourself, or do you stick with the long form?
You know what I do occasionally? I've got a collection of short stories out from years ago, and then I've done a few. I've been in some anthologies and stuff like that. It's always fun. It's always like
Yeah.
kind of it's refreshing. After
Right?
you've spent months writing something, that's full length, to hop on over and do a short story. And I love reading short stories. I majored in English, and that was one of
Oh, good.
my.
Yeah, me too. That's all
Awesome!
you read, isn't it?
Yay! Exactly! English
Unless
major
you take
power.
one of those specific novel classes, you're only going to read short fiction throughout your
Right!
entire undergraduate degree.
Right! So
And
you
those
get
novel classes are not fun. They're hard.
no, no,
They're
they're
really not
not.
fun at all.
No, when you're spending the entire semester with one guy and what,
And it was a woman for me, and she hated me. She hated me, and we were reading, and it was one of those abridged summer semesters, 6 weeks, and we had to read 4 novels.
Oh,
Like, oh, you lady, man, what is wrong with you? Why do you hate
why?
me so much?
A
This is my
lot.
last semester too. I desperately needed a good grade in this class to get my degree,
Oh
and she was threatening me. It's like, dude, you can't even write an email correct. Like,
no!
what?
Right? Oh, that drives me
Oh,
crazy.
what?
That's oh,
This is ridiculous. So where'd you go to school?
Ohio State.
Okay,
I
that's
did.
horrible. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Is that
You know,
bad?
you know what? It was there's good and bad about
Yeah,
OSU. Like the English department itself was excellent. It is a huge school.
yeah.
It is just enormous, which sometimes was good, sometimes was not so good. When you're, on one side of the world and you got to get to the other side for a class,
Mhm.
it's not very good. But and the sports culture is really oh god, it's constantly there, looming over
Yeah,
you,
right.
and I never
My
went to a
mom
football game.
went through leukemia treatments at OSU, so I got to
Oh yeah,
I got to explore the campus just a little bit,
yeah,
and her room overlooked the stadium. It was
oh
like I
yeah.
couldn't go anywhere on that entire campus without seeing the stadium. It was like
No,
this
it's
thing that just constantly followed you.
it is. It is. It's always kind of there, and it's when were you there?
This would have been 2003-ish,
Okay. All right. So it
right
was
after
still
the
very it doesn't even look I graduated in 2011 and it doesn't even look like it did then now. It's all condos and apartment living and new dorms. Like it's just it doesn't really look
yeah.
like itself anymore, but
This was in the middle of the winter too, so I, mean, I don't think
uh,
Columbus is one of those cities that fares well to winter visiting.
no. No, it's not. No,
You know what I mean?
it's 60 degrees and raining today, and it's going to
Oh,
be
is it?
12 degrees and sunny tomorrow. So that's
That's
Ohio.
us too. That's what's
Yeah,
gonna happen. Yeah, it's. I think it's a little bit colder than 60 degrees here. It was 60 degrees for us the other day. I was sweating my
yeah,
ass off.
yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's like it's February. What the heck?
Yeah, we know what the heck though, man. It's
Right,
happening.
right,
Are
right.
you a science fiction author or speculative fiction just over the spectrum, or
Kind
how do
of.
you classify yourself?
I kind of just yeah over the whole thing. I what I tend to say now because so much of my stuff is historical fantasy and steampunk. I tend to say that, but I love injecting the science fiction side of it into it, and I like really the only thing I don't touch in the fantasy genre is I don't love doing high fantasy.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I
you're
have a
kind
thing
of
for high fantasy. I like it.
oh, do
It
you?
is, yeah, it is tropey though, right? It's all tropey. I
It
mean, you can
is.
get really. I've talked to some guys who really like the tropey 1920s science fiction. You know what I mean? So you can go
Right.
either way.
Right, right. The big and my
Yeah,
boyfriend Tony loves that. The big Lord of the Rings.
yeah,
And
right. I
I
mean, but no, I'm talking about like the rockets, right? You just have a
oh
rocket
yeah,
and it goes
that
to
kind oh
Mars, and
yes.
there's no environment, so they're just doing things on Mars, and they're meeting aliens, and
No,
there's no
exactly. They're just
explanation for anything. And
no, they're just walking around. They've got a single helmet on,
yeah,
and somehow
exactly.
that's protecting them from
You're getting more information from the cover than you are actually from the
exactly.
prose. I mean,
Exactly. You're kind of
that I
on
mean,
your
yeah,
own.
absolutely. I love that stuff. I mean, the high fantasy though, with the elves and the dwarves. I mean, I want to make it real. I want to
Yeah.
twist it somehow, right? I mean, that's what I want to
Yeah.
do with my fiction. I want to take those things and I want to make a fun
Yes.
situation
There
happen.
needs to be that kind of the connection, real world
Somebody
connection.
told me that your work is like Douglas Adams though, and I
That
think
is a
if you're
huge
gonna
compliment. Who
right,
said that?
that's Dana.
Did she say that?
Yeah,
Oh my
she said that.
gosh. Thank you,
She
Dana.
said that, and I immediately looked up your book and bought it
Oh,
and
good.
misplaced it. It's
Oh,
someplace.
no.
I think
That
my wife
sounds
stole it. I think
familiar.
she's
That's
got
a.
it right now. It
Oh,
was at one point out, and now it's gone completely.
oh
But man,
no.
I love Douglas Adams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Me too. I love anything that kind of that injects that humor into. I love Terry Pratchett.
It's
Um,
important, right? I mean, if you're reading a
Christopher Moore.
story,
Yeah. Yeah. That is important.
you want to laugh, you want to chuckle, you want something to be like not so bleak,
Exactly. Exactly.
weighing you down.
Exactly. You need that. That's and even if it does get kind of dark or kind of deep at times, you need to relieve that tension
Do you
with
find that's
that.
evident in your personality too? Are you effervescent? Do you bubble when
Yeah.
it comes to? Yeah, do you? I kind of can tell.
I always tell people I'm
It's
an 11
contagious
out of
too.
10 all the time.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
I
started this conversation. I'm like a little down. I'm like, okay, now I've got to do a podcast. Let's get her on. Let's see if this is going to work out. And the first thing you did was you blew up my mood. It's like, oh my god, this woman's
yeah.
smiling, and I
Oh,
feel the
good.
smile.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
But it's easy. I mean, if you're writing a dark story, I mean, tell me, can you tell me a little bit about the plot of the novel that actually drew my attention? What's it called? What's the
Oh,
title?
the Last Temptations of Iago Wick is the first
Yago.
one. Yes, my dear Iago. Yes, and yeah. So it's about a demon who has been charged with tempting humans to the dark side, essentially, leading them towards soul rotting sin, and
Uh-huh.
that's his job. That's what he does for hell, and the book is about him being thrown into some kind of different situations that kind of open his eyes a little bit. Is he as dedicated to his hellish cause as he thinks he is? Is he, does he have a little bit of that free will? Kind of
Free
going through
will.
it, yeah. So
Gotcha.
So it's that kind of thing. It kind of follows him through a pivotal time in his 1,000-year existence, I guess we'll say.
Well, 1,000-year existence. That's your first novel encompasses 1,000 years?
Well, no, it takes place over the course of a month. It's very,
A
very
month,
short.
okay.
He is 1,000 years old at
He's
the
1,000
point.
years old.
Yes, he is.
What
Yeah.
what's your hell in the story? Is it
My
the
this
Christian hell or
Yes, it's way more. Well, I shouldn't say yes. It definitely draws on a lot of different hells. And I should ask you right now, can you hear the
yeah,
can you hear the
that's
but yeah.
okay. I'm in New York. I mean, it's like surprised you don't hear
I
them left and right.
right, I
Actually,
we live right next to the fire department.
oh, I gotcha.
So we get it a lot. So I shouldn't. It draws on a lot of hells. There's definitely, some Greek underworld influence. There's some definitely the Iago's husband is a character named Dante. There is definitely some Dante. I shouldn't call him his husband. He's not his husband. They're partners. But I
Partners. They
I
haven't
I
tied the knot
lovingly
officially yet.
yes, exactly. I lovingly refer to them as the demon husbands.
Did you
But
give a spoiler away? I mean, is this something that eventually will happen later
I
on?
ruined it. Sorry, guys, and
The whole
not
point of
not
everything
yet.
was their nuptials.
Yeah, exactly, not yet. But yeah. So so there's definitely some Dante influence. I pull on a lot of hell mythos, but
It's fascinating, right?
we don't.
Because you're talking.
It is.
What's that?
It is it's really interesting. It's oddly enough, I always feel weird saying this. It's something that has always fascinated me. I like hell. I like demons. I like the plight of the demon. The
Right? I
idea
mean,
that, like,
God,
you know,
Dante and his levels, right? I mean,
right,
God, playing around that
exactly.
with your mind.
It's
That just play. I
right.
mean, how many elements do you think you've incorporated into this? I mean, I'm really fascinated because you're world building here with that, right?
It's
And
a
I kind of do the same thing. I'm looking at mythology and I'm looking at humans and how they mesh together and how do you use that in a story going
right,
forward? Because they've already used it many, many different ways leading up to now. Neil Gaiman's a great example of somebody who's
right.
kind of doing the same thing, right?
He
Playing
is,
around
yeah.
with the afterworld,
Oh yeah,
afterlife,
he
gods and
does.
deities and where you
All
go in
that
your
good stuff. Yeah, no,
right. So
he's one of my faves. Yeah.
mine too.
Yeah.
So you're writing about hell specifically, and your goal going into this work was to write about hell, or did you find yourself already kind of writing about a hell, and it just kind of made its way into this story?
There is not a single scene in this first book that takes place in hell.
It's
So
fascinating.
it's more about the demon on Earth. It's what living on Earth kind of does to him,
Hmm.
and how he finds some, I guess, some humanity in himself. And
Hmm.
just speaking of Neil
Yeah.
Gaiman, Terry Pratchett,
What?
I love Good Omens. It's
Oh
probably my
my God, I can't
favorite.
read it. I can't read that book. I don't know what is wrong with me and Terry Pratchett. I don't know
Oh
what is.
no!
I can't connect with him. I've started,
Oh
but I've been told that you can't start with that first book. What is it?
no! Oh, with Color of Magic.
The Color of Magic. You can't start there because it'll ruin
Yeah,
you. And I
it's
started there, and I'm kind of ruined. I can't get into this stuff at all, but I
oh
want to
no,
so
it's
badly.
I can kind of agree with that. It's Color of Magic is like a really dressed up summary of the entire world. It's good. It's a good book, but if you start with it, you don't necessarily feel that you've been dropped into the world, as much as maybe you could be if you just pick up with I think the first one I read was Hogfather by
Okay,
Terry
interesting. That was a
Pratchett.
good one, right? That's where they
Yeah,
kidnap. Death kidnaps Christmas.
it's yes.
Yeah,
So yeah, so good. Just recently seasonal. Yeah, but
just recently
yeah,
they made a version of it too. I think it's available
they
online. Two
did.
versions of it or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So and I
Goes to say, you write something with a Christmas theme, you might end up selling it a few times.
right, exactly. Once a year,
Once a year,
it's your
it
number
might
one
pop up. I mean,
seller.
man, get lucky and be a Dr. Seuss and just go into the annuals of lore or a tradition. Families go to you and play you every single year.
Exactly. But yeah,
So you're writing about a hell. You're writing about an afterlife that did never actually step foot in, but obviously it painted a picture of who this character was going into the world.
yes, yes. He's and he starts out. Iago is he started out when I was first writing. I got the first draft written, and he had been floating around in my head for years. And I thought, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to write about this demon working on Earth. And I finished the first draft, and I reread it, and I thought, oh my gosh, he is so unlikable. He was a little too much like Shakespeare's Iago.
Well, I wanted to
So,
ask, is he an incarnation of that? Did you pull Yago from hell as Shakespeare's Yago?
he
Because I mean, if there's a person that belongs in hell, it's Yago,
it's
right?
Iago, exactly.
Yeah.
He is not that Iago.
He's not okay.
If I get too much into that, there will be a little bit of a spoiler for a later book.
Okay.
But I kind of just pulled on that name because I love names. I like putting
It's a great
names
name.
together for character. Thank you. And but I finished that first draft. I thought he was way too unlikable, so I
Yeah.
had to go back, and that was when I started to add kind of the okay, maybe he does have some second thoughts about this. Maybe he isn't as gung ho on the whole hell thing, and he starts out now very yes, I am an ideal demon. I'm very good at what I do. He's very proud. He's got that going on. And situations slowly kind of eat away at that
Yeah.
kind
You
of
need
thing.
to
So
make a reason for him to be what he is,
yes,
right?
yeah.
You need to give him an excuse to give him the not rigidity of the goal. But what did you pick? Is that a spoiler?
Gosh, it's more that it's not really a spoiler. He thinks that when he finishes, well, he knows that when he finishes these particular temptations that are detailed in the first book, that he'll be promoted.
Promoted.
And yes, he'll become an overseer, sending out the assignments to poor pitiful demons, who have to work on earth. So he'll have it's a nice cushy desk job essentially.
Yeah.
um, and he thinks that's where he's going, and he thinks he's very proud of that. And as he gets closer to that goal, he's like, I don't really want this. I don't think this is where I want to go. I don't really want to work for hell. It just kind of, he has a little bit at age 1,000. He has something of a midlife crisis, I guess you could say.
So
And
you're doing for the afterlife what Douglas Adams did for space and the alternate
sure,
reality is what.
that's
Yeah.
the goal. Yeah.
I, my God, so you could play in so many different playgrounds, can't you?
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
I mean, you're coming from a literary standpoint, so you obviously understand subtext. I mean, you can go anywhere,
Oh,
you
it's
know.
fun. It's good. I've actually I'm working on the third book in the series right now,
Third
and it's got a lot that happens in purgatory.
purgatory, great, right? I mean,
Which
God,
is
you can
fun.
this nonstop. How many books do you think you might write? Are you going to do a Pratchett type thing and just go forever?
Well, this main I'll say this main storyline that goes from the last temptations of Iago Wick through to the end of this kind of chunk of story is going to be 4 books plus the novella. There's a little prequel novella, so 4 plus the novella. But then the series that I'm planning after I'm done with this one takes place in the same universe,
Perfect.
just in a
Different
different.
characters.
Yes, and a different time period too. So there will be some tying in. So it could end up being
Yeah.
a little Pratchett-y in that they're all kind of connected in a big,
It's
big
very
kind of
interesting.
web.
It sounds like what you're doing is something that I've heard other people have done that I've considered doing myself, writing a long story over smaller volumes,
You could, yeah,
publishing like a 300,000 word epic story in 5 small books or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And see, for me, I am as a reader, I'm kind of flighty. And so I try to think of poor readers like me as I'm writing, or poor readers like me as I'm writing, because I know that if you hand me a 400,000 word book,
Well, it's
I'm
going
gonna
to fall apart, right?
number one, it's gonna fall apart. Number two, I'm gonna think, no, there's no way
It's
I'm
too
gonna
heavy.
read that. No, it's too much. And but if you give me smaller ones, I'm way more likely to kind of, because I don't feel as weighed down by it. And I know that's
I
some people say
understand.
the longer the better,
100%.
but I'm
Yeah.
not, so so I tend to shoot most. I think Iago is 60,000 words. He's not very long at all.
So
And
far or altogether?
well, 60,000 words on the first one, and then I think the second one was 65 or 70. And then
So
the
it's very
third one
interesting. I
was
mean, if
sitting
you
at 72, I
some
think.
publishers have open submissions, right? I mean, you can
Right.
dig and find publishers that'll take a book, but they
Right.
like require 80,000 words. Like that's a novel to them. They'll refuse to read anything less.
Oh, less than
And
that, right?
like,
I
dude,
don't
you
want to
gotta,
read
I don't.
anything more than that.
It's like, I'm fine. I used to be like that. You'd go to the bookstore. I'm spending $8. I want the fattest book on the shelf.
Right.
Give me the fat. I don't want to come back here for at least 2 more weeks. Give me the fattest book you got. Right. I mean, that was my attitude
Yeah,
going
that's
into it.
planning. That's
Right. I got $8. I want to make this work for me.
right.
But
Exactly.
nowadays it's on my phone, and it really is
Right.
gratifying to flip that page and to see that I've already gone 10%. I only have 90% left of this book. I only have 85%. It's
Right.
easy with a shorter book to get through it. You're motivated. It's fun.
Right.
Boom, you're
Right.
done.
And I do
But I
think
read something epic like, War and Peace, and I read like
right.
400 pages and I'm like 1% in. It's like, this is a
Oh,
slog. Please kill
it
me now.
is. It is. It's like Les Mis or something like that. That is just goes on and on and on. But I think you hit on something there, and that's the idea of the ebook.
Yeah.
I think we don't
That's your
see
forte, right? As an indie,
it is.
I
It
bought your
is.
physical book. I bought the physical copy, but you're
Awesome.
probably playing in that realm of E
Yes,
more
I
than
am.
physical.
Way more than the physical. I wish I need to dedicate more time to the physical, to the getting it into bookstores and going to
Is there any point to that, do you think?
conventions and stuff. They sell okay. They sell okay. There's a local bookstore here in town, and there are a couple other a couple more in Central Ohio that I'm in, and they sell fine. And I do conventions and stuff like that occasionally, but it always just feels like, oh, but why would I, you know, put so much time into that, into loading up all my stuff and going to the convention when I can, you know, run an ad and make all my money back, on the
On
ebook
Amazon,
side. Yeah,
right?
exactly. So and I hate to say that because I do love physical books. I love the you don't get to look at an ebook. You don't get to see it on your shelf, and so as a reader I do love physical books, but as a writer I love the ebook.
So just pop an ad, and that's all that works off Amazon. Is that an Amazon ad or like
Oh
a
yeah, I mean, yeah, no,
BookBub?
I
Have you ever done
do.
a BookBub?
I have not done a
BookBub ad?
BookBub ad yet.
No, I
I
hear
have
that's really
not.
hard to get.
Oh, the features
Like,
are really hard to get. Like they are like
yeah.
crazy, crazy difficult to get. But the ads, I think you can just like straight pay per click ads, or I don't know if they're pay per click
And they're
anymore.
totally worth it, is what I hear. It's not just
Oh
from you.
yeah,
I've heard and read and listened to other
oh yeah.
podcasters say that that's the way to go.
Every 2 or 3 years, there's another magic bullet, and that is like the magic bullet right now. is
Magic bullet.
is the BookBub
Ho-
stuff. It used to be Pixel of Ink a very long time ago. It used to
Pixel
be
of ink.
yeah, Kindle Nation Daily a long time ago. I've actually been Iago's not actually my first book. I published my first book in 2010.
Okay, I was
It's
going to ask when, because
yeah, but it's
2011 is when you graduated,
yes.
and when I graduated, I wasn't writing anything more than short fiction. I mean, I'd started a novel. I was
Mhm.
writing a novel, but I didn't get to page 100. I mean, I was really struggling with page 100 for like the longest time.
It's
For some
it's
reason, that was
three
like my,
digits.
what's that?
It's that 3-digit curse when you
Just
get to
really, it haunted me. I couldn't get past it. But once I did, 3 digits is not, I guess it's nothing now. But so you did this before you graduated college. You
I
wrote your
did
first book.
the very first one, yeah, which was, and then I did all this, kind of like guerrilla marketing for the book in college. That book is out of print now, but it was also about hell and demons, and it was definitely leading me in the direction where I was gonna end up. But
How do you feel about that book now?
how do I feel about that book? I still get people who ask me about that book, and I get people who say, "When's the sequel coming out to that book?" That book was
It's interesting.
it was really. I'll say this: it was really creative. It had really good characters. It lacked in substance a little bit. I mean, it was about a very bureaucratic hell. It was a very it's a giant office building, and the third level is you're down there at the water cooler talking to Cerberus. I mean, it was like that kind of humor, and it was funny, but it was not terribly thought through, I guess you could say. But I still get people asking me about the characters in that book, and are you ever going to write a sequel to that book? And but it's
I
not even
love it though, man. You can have an office building in your world still. It doesn't have to not exist.
I
How do you feel
could.
about, right? I mean, it doesn't I mean, it's so beautiful. The thing that you're working on, you can encompass so many different things.
Yeah.
You've obviously seen Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, the main character of that very first book was called These Hellish Happenings, and the main character actually worked in the waiting room of hell. That was his job. Was he would
These Hellish Happenings is a
yes,
great freaking title. I love that
thanks.
so much. It's very poetic. It works very
Thanks.
nicely. These Hellish
Thanks.
Happenings.
And
And
that
I
was
want it published for Halloween, and there should be a pumpkin on the cover.
it was
These
it was
Hellish Happenings.
it was one of those things where, to be perfectly honest, I might someday go back and rework it and have it, edited properly and marketed properly and packaged properly. I may go back to it one day, but not. I would never put it out there again in the form that it's in right now.
Well, you know, I just had a thought. Well, it's in a form right now. If you did publish it today and then in a year go back and revise it and republish it again under a different advertisement, it's almost like it doesn't matter, does it? Because the advertisements are what are causing the sales to happen anyway. The book itself sits there, collects dust until you buy an ad and people notice it.
That's true. You could technically, I
Except
would,
those reviews, right? Those reviews will haunt you forever.
right, exactly. And I mean, like I said, it's a fine book. I don't, I would, I, but I'm not sure I would ever put it out in
Yeah.
anything close to what it is in the state
You've got
it's
three
in.
out now, right?
Yes,
1, 2, 3, yeah. And the fourth one is on its way.
yes. Well, yes. So we've got the novella. The prequel novella is Iago, Wick, and the Vampire Queen, and then the first book is Last Temptations of Iago, Wick. Second book is Binding Dante Lovelace, and the third one is called The Army of Angels, and it is. I only just announced the title on that one, so it's in pretty good shape. I would say that probably this summer that'll be out.
I like your use of language because
Thank
you
you.
say army of angels. Not only is that like an alliteration, but also it makes angels seem bad to me. You know, like
Oh
dead,
yes,
right? I think that's what
yes.
you're aiming for. Obviously, you're trying to paint the what would be normally stereotypically the bad guy. You want to paint the stereotypically good guys as bad guys, and that just really worked for me.
Yes.
Army of angels is like, they're bad.
Yeah, yes, and yeah, and it's kind of, I mean, that's kind of the whole in this series. There were bad demons and there were good demons. There were good angels and there were bad angels. It's kind of, I love the show, and I can't help but mention this stupid show. I love the show Supernatural, and that's something that I really appreciate about that show is you've got, no one is good or bad just because of what side they're on. You've
Yeah,
got good guys
you
over
all
here,
have
you've got
motivations,
guys
right? You all
over
have
here.
stories.
Right,
I
right.
really love the idea of the orc, in
Yeah.
the Lord of the Rings that's being forced to do it, but if he doesn't, he goes to some
Right,
kind of orcish prison, or he gets killed,
right.
or
He
his
has
babies
to.
starve, or his wife gets
Right,
defiled. I mean, some horrible motivation that makes him
right.
have to pick up this thing and do horrible
It
things. So
has to
other
be
horrible
right.
things don't happen. And that's the way it
Exactly.
happens, right? I mean,
Exactly.
Vietnam, those soldiers went over there and fought, picked up M16s under fear.
Right,
They were punished if they didn't happen. They were called
right.
cowards potentially. World War I, they got given feathers, white feathers, and got told they were, the P word to their faces and spit on if they didn't
They
join
were.
the military.
There was always this. There were always motivations and
Yeah.
pressures and all this. So yeah. It's
Demonize the German soldier during World War II, but I mean, honestly, you weren't going to say no. I
well,
mean,
there are just so many factors, and people
yeah, so
threatening
it's interesting because
this
that's
and that.
character, isn't it? And
Right.
the more depth you give it, the more motivations you find, the more layers that you peel back, the better things get. Because even in our own lives, we don't even know what the hell we do most of the times unless we sit and think about it. Shit, I yelled at that poor lady because she reminds me of my mom. Damn it. No, it never happens. You never think that.
But yeah,
So, I mean, you've got interesting character, right?
I
I
like
don't
to
know
think
why we
he's
started talking about character, but character's fascinating. These little
yeah.
bubbles. Where were we at before I derailed us?
I don't quite remember. I mean, we could. Yes, we could say I'm definitely a character-driven person. If you give me interesting characters as a reader, I don't need
Pulls
the
you through.
super. exactly. I don't need the super
You'll
intricate
believe
plot.
anything. Believe
Right,
anything.
right.
Right?
If it's a character that I want, and I love as a writer, I love Iago. I have never written a character that I love writing as much as Iago, and Dante, his partner. They're and I sometimes as a writer, it's weird. You can't even feel that you can take credit for making them up. It's like they just appeared one day, and you had to peel back the layers and figure out who they were. But it's almost like, oh, I didn't make them; they just appeared before me, and I had to work with them. But those two characters, I have had so much fun writing them and getting to know them that
Here's a question for you that might be a little awkward.
yeah.
That bubble that you write in, that includes your boyfriend. You probably have readers outside of that bubble as well. How do you know that you're doing that to the character? Making it bloom into this thing that's going to grasp, right? I'm thinking in terms of my own writing and the idea of putting the words on paper versus the finished product. I mean, there's just such a disconnect there.
It's this is gonna sound weird. I am one of those people.
You're
I feel
psychic.
I
You're pulling the characters from another
I
realm and
am
writing it.
exactly. Yes, I'm reaching into the fourth dimension, and I'm bringing them kicking and screaming. And no,
Yeah, I
I
love it though, man. That's what I write. That's the kind of stuff I would write.
yeah, there you go. Strike myself over
That's
that.
probably right now on my Google Drive. That exact story, I love it.
Yes.
Alternate realities are just my thing.
Yeah, no, that stuff is fun. But I feel like I'm one of those people who walks around with characters in my mind. They're constantly there, almost like they're walking with you. You can hear what they would say in situations. You can imagine how they would react, and so there is not a moment of the day that you're not kind of developing them, because even when you're sitting, at the day job and doing something, Iago is somewhere in your mind commenting on what's going on, and you're like, "Hush, but you've taken note of, what he said, who he is. You see something and think that's, you may see a theme in another book or a theme in another movie, and think that's a really cool way to explore that.
Yeah.
Do you and look at your character and say, do you have something like that? And then you can say, well, as a matter of fact, I do have some kind of traumatic event in my past or something. Like it's just
Yeah.
they're
Everybody does.
constantly with you, so they're constantly developing. It's really, yeah. I can't. It's strange. I'm
I
strange.
love it though. I mean, because I don't know where you sit. Your boyfriend, you have laptops. You have one screen.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
end up inundated by tabs, like hundreds of tabs. By the end of the day, of things I'm just reading. It's horrible. That's why I need like more monitors, because I lose
Right.
things and I don't know where it is. And I'm halfway through an article that was fantastic, and I want to find out more information, or
Right.
I'm doing research on a story over here. It's just like it's so scattered. But at the
Right.
same time, I mean, you never know where you're going to pull things up. So I'm
Well,
constantly
right.
digging.
Right. No, that's very true. And that's some of my favorite, quote unquote writing sessions are not even really writing. It's doing all the research. The research stuff
Right.
is, just as cool.
Implementing it, getting it to work,
Exactly.
right? You find that cool thing that's like, oh, dude,
Right.
how do I use that? And it just falls into place. It's like, shit,
Right.
now it's
Right.
mine. I
Exactly.
own that. And I can play with it as much as I want because I've already done it once, and I can do it again many, many
Right.
different ways. It's just so fantastic.
Right. Yeah, no, that stuff is really, really cool. But yeah, as far as my bubble goes, I always feel like my bubble just extends beyond the computer. It just
Yeah. To the
it
outside
always
world.
keeps going.
Are
And
you a people watcher? Do you
oh
go to
yes.
places to actually watch
Yes,
people interact? Yeah, do you?
absolutely. I watch people. I always have a journal with me. That is always a surefire birthday or Christmas present. You can just give me a bunch of journals, and
Interesting.
they'll get filled. They'll be used.
I'm not a writer of journalists. Are you writing? Are you doodling? Is it just both, kind of combination of both, or
It's a
one
little
of?
bit of both. I do do a lot of doodling and stuff, but I like to do what I'll do is I'll open a journal, like I'll open the book up to like two blank pages, and at the top, let's say that I'm writing a scene where Iago has to confront one of the angels, and I'll right at the top, Iago confronts the angels, and then I will make little clouds all over the pages saying, here's like, one will be for Iago's thoughts, and then you do it out like a web, and you say what he's thinking. Here are the angels' thoughts. That's what they're thinking. What are some details about the location? You write that down there, and then you write those out in a web. It's really like basic, like third grade Venn diagram kind of stuff, but it helps me to kind of get the whole picture. So a lot of times that's what I'll be doing is I'll sit
Interesting.
down at the library, at the cafe, whatever, and I will just spread out and write all these intricate. Have you ever seen the movie School of Rock?
I have seen that's good. Jack Black.
Okay. Yes, you know the scene where he's teaching them about rock and like the rock hierarchy and the rock, punk led to this and rock led to this, and on the chalkboard he's got this huge diagram of all the rock bands ever in the history of rock bands, and they're all connected in this weird web, and these guys led to this guy, and these guys led to that guy. That's what like every page of my journal looks like, is it's just these webs of this person has to interact with this person has to do this
You got to
person
be real careful. You're going to
feels
end
this
up
about this.
in
You do.
Pratchett world. You're going to
You
end up
do.
lost in.
You
You're
do.
going to lose your R key, man. You're going to lose it. You're not going to know where it is.
Where am I going? Yes.
Where's your R key?
Right. So
I mean, that poor guy. He just
yeah.
wrote and wrote and wrote in this world, right? And it's so cool that's kind of what everybody does, though, isn't it? They pick, like Stephen King has Derry, Maine, or Maine in general, or this thing that kind of Castle Rock. I mean, you can basically say all of the stories kind of happen within it.
Oh, yeah.
C.S. Lewis had Narnia. I wish all of his stories took place in Narnia. I was so disappointed when I found out that dude was like writing other stuff.
Right.
I felt cheated on. I felt so cheated on.
Right. What the heck, guy? But yeah.
And it wasn't Narnia stuff. It was like nowhere close. It was like Christian Science stuff or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well,
It was like not at all what I wanted. I was mad.
Yes.
I was super mad.
It's like, that's not what I came here for.
Dude, you betrayed me. You
Exactly.
betrayed me.
It is a betrayal. What the heck?
Right?
But, yeah.
You know who else almost did that to me is Anne Rice, except her erotica is really freaking good. So it was okay. Yeah, her stuff that she wrote under another name kind of trickled out in the mid 90s. I've read a bunch of it. It's really, I mean, she's a good author. She's one of my favorite.
She is.
Growing up, but
she is my I get it honest. My mother loves vampires. That is my mom. My mom is like a scholar of vampire fiction. And so I was always exposed to Anne Rice growing up and everything. And so, yeah, so no, she's very good.
What a great
writer. Like
kind of fits into that world building too, right? I mean, she built this giant world. The witches fit with the vampires, and they merged together, and she's still going. Thank God. I thought she was done a long time ago. I haven't been able to read any of the modern ones. I don't know what my deal is. I just start book after book after book, and if it catches me and I read it all the way through, great. If not, it just collects cobwebs on my phone forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like my phone is the death trap for all books.
You buy it when it's on sale for $1.99, and then you forget that it's there
until you desperately need something. I need to read something.
Oh shoot, that's right.
My wife is a hoarder. She loves things on discounts, on sales, right? She'll buy whatever it is. She'll buy extra stuff just so she can get $10 off. You know what I mean? She'll spend $10 to get $10 off.
$10 off. Yeah.
What is going on? She just like, I don't know. And I'm the same way with books. I don't buy books. There would be books all over the place.
Right.
And I once decided that I'm not moving these freaking things anymore. I threw tons of books away, and now I'm doing it again. It's like, damn it, I'm not moving anymore. Don't move.
Right? You can never possibly read them all. Is the thing I always think, like, oh my god.
Right? But you still do it. Do you collect books?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I mean, I collect old books. I love antiquing and stuff like that. So.
Oh yeah.
Go out and we'll buy old books, and some of those are, just, sometimes you buy them for the look because you just want them to look nice on the bookshelf or what have you. But sometimes, you do want to read them too. So I'll collect new books, old books, antique books I already have. If a very nice edition
really
comes out, it's like, oh, I love, whatever, Shakespeare. I own all of Shakespeare probably 4 times over.
Do you?
I just keep finding new editions of Shakespeare that's really pretty and that's got really cool, and
he's one of my favorites. I really like Shakespeare a lot. I like holding his stuff and seeing his plays. I haven't seen a Shakespeare play in forever.
Oh yes, we've got a couple troops around here who do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in New York, so I mean, I have some
Right.
too. It just last one I saw actually was on in the there's a fort in Battery Park, and they did something. This was like 7 years ago though, and they did something, and me and my wife went. I think it was 12th night. It's
Okay.
really good. I mean, there's so many talented people around here just willing to act and do that
Right.
stuff. I've done
Right.
it once. I was in a play in college, and I just can't do it. So I mean,
Oh no.
all the respect in the world. Yeah, absolutely. I felt so foolish.
Oh
But there are some
no.
people. Yeah, I felt really, really bad about myself on that stage.
What did
But
you do?
there are,
Do you remember what play it was?
yeah, of course I do. "'Tis Pity She's a Whore," John
Okay.
Ford.
John Ford. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was miserable. No, it was
Oh
beautiful experience. I mean, I loved it, memorizing all the lines. I played the character Ricardetto.
no.
He
Hmm.
was the doctor. He was unfortunately the comic foil villain. He was not necessarily the bad guy, but he was out
Right.
to get revenge for something dumb. And I was going to kill somebody, and I end up getting killed off screen, off stage. So I don't even get to die on
Oh,
stage.
you don't even get to
Yeah.
die. What the heck?
And the one thing that kind of, you know, ruined it for me is that one scene on one night live in a performance, I decided to change the way my character behaved to
Oh,
my niece. And I was a lot more crazy and aggressive, and I got screamed at by the director after. He did
no.
not appreciate my choice at all, at
Oh
all.
no.
But it is some of the most entertaining stuff. If you can get like Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet, the
Oh yeah.
recorded version, the 4 hour version, the 8 hour version,
Oh
whatever it
yeah.
is, beautiful,
No, yeah.
beautiful.
I
Watch
love.
that one day.
Yes, it's great, and I love.
It's
I mean,
really
I
awesome.
just love Kenneth Branagh in general. He's
He
really
did he has a Shakespeare movie out, or is going to have a Shakespeare movie out. He plays Shakespeare. He
and
put
Judy Dench plays his wife, which is really
his wife.
interesting to me because she's quite a bit older than him, I think. And
Really?
I think she is, isn't she?
I don't know what she would know. Real well. Shakespeare's wife was older than
I'm
him.
trying to figure out how much older was Anne Hathaway than Shakespeare.
27 to 21 or 22, or was she in her 30s? 20. She
And
wasn't. She
it was
had
so
kids.
long ago that you know you got old faster. You know
Yeah,
you were old earlier in your life than I mean I think he only lived probably his 50s.
50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his skull got stolen. I didn't even know his skull
Yeah.
is gone.
The
It's like
heck?
wow, and it was probably in London the entire time on stage for every performance of Hamlet.
He is playing Yorick. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, right? But that he didn't write. He wrote in a world. Did he write in a world? Would you say that Shakespeare wrote in a world? He was kind of all over the place, wasn't he? He didn't really like.
All over the place. I mean, so many things. I don't want to say he stole. It's not that he stole, but he took so much influence and inspiration from stories that already existed and kind of reworked them for his
Because he wasn't
audience.
doing art. Shakespeare wasn't like saying, I am an artiste. No,
Right.
Shakespeare was like, this is crap. Give me money.
He was, a performer and a poet, and he was providing entertainment
Yeah.
to the masses.
And he wrote down recipes to how to put on these shows that were kind of coming from other places, right? Other troops were doing Macbeth-esque stories, probably not
Right,
called Macbeth. They were
right.
doing the revenge story, or I killed the king. Now what do I do? I mean, he probably love it. We write the kind of same. Aristotle says we're writing the same. How many stories? 32
Yeah.
over and
Oh,
over and over again.
never, yeah.
23 poetics. I don't know. I don't know what he says. It's like 23 stories that you write. That's it.
Right, and that's
And
it.
we're
It's just
writing variations.
reworked exactly, reworked in different ways. But Bill. And the thing was with I always call him Bill Shakes. But the thing with Shakespeare
You're
is
on a, you're on a personal level with him.
exactly we're friends. We're me and Billy Shakes over here.
I always
But
shake my fist when I think of Shakespeare. Shakespeare. Because he makes me mad. He really does. Because you couldn't write like. Go ahead, sit at your computer, write a story just like
right,
Shakespeare. You would get
exactly.
laughed at. You would
Right.
get laughed at. You would like. They would get you. What is this shit? And they would burn it in front of you and probably you poop on it a little bit or something. So I mean, you can't even mimic Shakespeare. You can love Shakespeare, but
No,
you cannot mimic Shakespeare.
no. He's of that era. And like, you can't have someone exit pursued by a bear these days.
You can't. I do that all the time on Twitter. Nobody, I
Yeah,
don't know if anybody knows what I'm doing, but
right. But but the thing was with him is that it's not even necessarily the plots with Shakespeare. It's the language and the. I mean, he really did. He created so many turns of phrase that we use still
Mhm.
today, and
The
was such
lexicon of English was
right,
enhanced because of his plays. Yeah,
right,
absolutely. Because he wrote them down, right? Because he wasn't
right,
alone. Other people were putting on plays, but his got saved for
right,
whatever reason. Shakespeare's nobody, but his folio is something. And the
right,
idea of the Gutenberg Bible and the
right.
Shakespeare folio, they made they made these men become part of history because they existed as
Because
things people could own.
they made it. Yeah,
Beowulf almost didn't make it, right?
right.
Beowulf almost didn't make it.
Which is crazy.
Iliad almost
Think of
didn't make it.
world without Beowulf. That
What
yeah,
else is out there, right? These stories that have disappeared. I mean, a
right.
good example is that cave. Where is it? In France? The cave drawings, the cavemen
Yes, in front. Yes,
story
yes.
is that
The
they were
really.
telling a story. You know it. There was a story
Oh
involved with those things. I mean, we could
yeah,
tell the
definitely.
story. We both of us can write a short story about what those things meant, but they were doing that from generation after generation, performing
Right.
something with those shadows.
Right, right. It's so we've always been storytellers. It's
Yeah,
really cool. It's very very nifty.
it is
And
cool. So what do you have coming up that we should be aware of, do you
oh
think?
gosh, well, like my biggest deal is that I'm working on getting that third book out. And then I would love to do some more short stories this year. To be honest,
Yeah.
I kind of just take the short story opportunities as they come to me. I recently did
How do
a
they come to you? What do you do to find them?
oh gosh, I just kind of keep my eyes open. Like the
Yeah,
last
interesting.
the last one that I did, it's actually a nonfiction story for an anthology of real ghost stories. I'm an amateur ghost hunter, I should
Oh,
say,
cool.
and I Heather Marie Adkins and Alex Owens put together this anthology of paranormal and fantasy writers who had some kind of real ghost story to tell called oh my gosh, the name of it just flew out of my head. That's terrible. I am a terrible person. Uh,
I swear to God, I tell my wife all the time, babe, get ready for it. I'm gonna have dementia. I can't remember anything.
yeah,
I
no,
call it
I'm the same
Tyrannosaurus
way.
Rexing. Like,
Yes, yeah.
I'll be looking for something right in front of me, and it's like, dude, this is right here all this time. What is
No,
wrong with you?
it's terrible. And you can't. I mean, you can't think of people's names sometimes. It's called Spirits and Spells. Is what it's called. Spirits and
Spirits
Spells.
and spells.
Yeah, true paranormal anthology. And that was the last one I did back in October. Was when that came out. So, and the thing was, I am friends.
Seasonally appropriate.
Exactly. I'm friends with Alex and Heather on Facebook, and they sent out like, "Hey, we're looking for submissions." So I submitted. That's kind of how I just kind of keep my eyes open. I'm not
I
very
love it, man. I work
very
on
aggressive.
prompts.
Do you?
I really love them. I love short fiction so much. It's really to my own detriment because I've got something I want to work on. I've decided to break apart my second novel and make more novels out of it. I think I could do something more. I want 80,000 words. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It makes me mad. It's only 65,000. And for some reason, there was a benchmark of 80,000 for these epic science fiction stories. So
Right.
I might as well aim for that and see what happens.
Right. Right.
Right?
See.
I mean, they're asking for that for a reason. So there must be some kind of mechanical thing happening there that will magically appear once I'm starting to write
Right.
something big like that.
Boom! You hit 80,000, and there it is.
There it is. I figured it
Save
out. I know the mysteries of life.
it.
But instead, I'm writing short fiction piece after short fiction piece, and I'm looking for prompts. I want them to tell me what they want so I can aim.
Right. Right.
I
And
think
that's
this is
it.
fantastic.
Right. And it's good to have that, so you kind of know, okay, at least what ballpark are you looking for people? So I know I'm not,
Right. I mean, I'm writing in my own
Right.
arena, but I'll let them color the ball a little bit.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. So do you have cons coming up? Do you have any in-person appearances that you want people to know about? Do you do any ghost hunting in person, like podcasting, writing, blogging, besides
Uh,
that one piece? Which, by the way, Tor.com buys
yeah.
nonfiction like that.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they'll buy nonfiction. If you write that stuff all the time and you think it's, Tor.com worthy, They might buy it.
Heck, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I've read some tour stuff, but yeah,
Yeah, they have great stuff. I mean, it's not like Pulitzer Prize winning material either. It's like the 10 best fantasy films of 1983.
right.
Or somebody, somebody got paid for that.
Good
So
stuff.
it's good.
Good stuff came out in 1983. But
Yeah, 84 is the year of movies, though. No bad movie came out in 1984.
really,
Mm-hmm.
trying to think what came out in
Letting
1984.
anybody, I think 48 Hours came out in 1984. Commando came out, or Terminator.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it did. Wow, that's a big
Terminator.
year.
There's a bunch of other ones. It's a very, very strong year for movies. That defined it like a whole generation of movie watchers.
Right. My gosh, what was it?
Um,
It was oh, events.
events.
Yeah, I'm not doing a whole lot right now just because weather is so unpredictable in Ohio, and you just really never know.
Hmm.
The next big thing I'm doing, if you can wait till the end of April, it's the last weekend in April, is just south of Columbus. There is a giant kind of Renfest type thing called the Viking Festival, and
Oh, that's cool.
I always sell at that because they give authors, there's like an entire tent. It's not even a tent. It's a like a shelter house for authors, so they treat you really nicely, and
Is
you know
that something that also kind of just fell on your lap, or did you find that, or did you just
I
always know about it?
it's actually I've got a lot of friends who were involved in the creation of that festival. So it was kind of just through them. I have there were some friends of the family who um are Vikings essentially. They go around to Ren fests, and that's their bit. Is they sell Viking inspired goods, and they said, you know what, we need a festival. We need just a Viking fest. So they made their own.
That's cool. I'm a little intimidated about Renaissance festivals.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
went
there.
to one, and it was just insulted the entire day.
Oh well, you
Like everywhere in Old English, I was like, "Oh my God, why are they constantly heckling me?"
no,
It
and
was
they do,
horrible.
and that's bad. See, I love stuff like that, and I get dressed up and everything, but um, yeah, you never want to run into the guy who thinks he's a whole heck of a lot cleverer than he is, and feels the need to, you know,
Or worse, it was all the
just
women. It was
send.
all the
Oh
women
no!
doing it. I couldn't even do anything.
Just
And my wife was there too. She's like, they're just making fun of me, babe. What do I do? And she's like, first off, grow up a little bit.
but and it's like I feel like they give some people, they give them scripts and say
Yeah,
this is how you interact.
I
This
was
is how
all in Old English, but I knew what they were saying, man. It was mean.
they're just like rehashed Monty Python
Yeah,
jokes
exactly.
and stuff like that.
So you're going to the Viking Fest in at
Yes,
beginning of April. That's cool.
end of April,
End of
beginning.
April.
Yeah, it's always in that last weekend in
Cool.
April. I don't really have a whole lot planned right now. It's just like
What
I
I mean,
said.
how do you make the plans? I mean, you have the world. You can do whatever you want, right? What do you do?
I kind of just wait until I decide I
Chill.
want to do something. Yeah, I mean I really I value because I do have a day job, and it takes a it's an 8 to 5 plus job.
That
So
sounds horrible. What do you do with an
I
English degree?
well, I'll tell you what, I am actually the um essentially the marketing director for a company in Central Ohio.
Okay.
So
Marketing. Cool.
yeah, I am the
Good
actually
practice.
yeah, it is, and I I should say that I am the entire marketing department. It's just me. But it's the I'll tell you the bad thing about that though. It's a great job. I actually do love my job, but the bad thing is that you spend your entire day marketing, and then you get home, and when you're an indie author, you have to do all your marketing for your books. And I get home at 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I don't want to market. I've spent my
Yeah.
entire day doing website and social media and advertising stuff. I don't want, so sometimes I feel like I kind of go on autopilot with that kind of stuff and really just
I don't know how you write.
on well, I just focus on the writing. That's what I was going to say. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning every day, and I write from like
4:30. Yeah,
4:30
man. That's the
till
only way you can do it.
Right. And
Give
that's
yourself your best energy.
right. Exactly. And exactly. That was my thought exactly. Like, you know what? You get the most stuff done in the morning. Just wake up and write first because you
I
know
do
what
that
you
with my
know.
family. Do you have
Yeah.
any kids? Because
No,
that's
I have,
actually what motivated my. I will just wake up and say, okay, fine. I know this hurts, but it's 2:30. I'm gonna go do some stuff, and I'll
yeah.
crawl downstairs and just take care of hours worth of stuff, and then they'll be awake. And I'll be like the
Right.
zombie man, but
But you've got exactly. But no, but I will. I do not have any kids, but I have a cat who
same thing.
yes, and if I don't wake up at 4:30, oh, he's there. Like, lady, where are you? It's time to eat. You
Yeah,
know? but, but yeah, so that's so I think the reason I don't always do a lot of events and stuff like that, it's like I've got so much other stuff going on. I want to
yeah, you're
dedicate
working.
that time to writing rather than going out and
Is it beneficial, do you think? Do you think? I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of Andy Weir, if you're familiar with who that is. I mention him
yes,
every single podcast I do.
yes,
It's just it's just miraculous how this guy came from I'm an engineer to I write the best science fiction of the
right,
21st century,
right,
and with audience help to boot. So
yes.
it's like, how the hell did he get that audience? Where did that come from? And can you do that nowadays? You said every 3 years things change, right?
Oh
And if you
yeah,
can
I
catch
think
that wave, if you've ever been to the ocean and tried to body surf for God's sakes, it's really impressive to catch a wave and to feel that thing kind of go whoosh.
right. You kind of do have to be. I think you have to kind of be on the a little bit ahead of the game. You have to be, a little. You have to be a step or two ahead of the rest of
Do you
indiedom,
feel like you're there?
authordom. You know what? To be perfectly honest, I feel like I need more properties out. I'm doing well as an author, but I feel like the more you have out, the more chances there are for you to buy through, for people to buy through and buy all of your books. To say I didn't. This series maybe wasn't for me, but this one maybe is. You just to me, I'm at the point where I need to keep publishing. I need to
Yeah.
keep getting stuff out there. I think, I'm always amazed by the people who or they write one book and it blows up. That's amazing and
Uh,
and good
is
for
it
them.
just one book though? Because it never is one book, is
No, it
it?
never
So
is.
you
That
look at
is a good point. They
yeah, because
love
it's
to
Jules
reinvent it.
Verne wrote one book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or Around the World in 80 Days or
Right.
whatever, but there are 80 books around those two books that you haven't
Behind
heard
that,
of.
exactly. Right, right. So, but yeah, that's it's just something where
One
you
book that
kind of have
blew up.
yes, exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? That I mean, I want to put stuff on my I publish something just to use
Uh-huh.
myself, just to talk about myself, because I haven't done that this entire podcast. Just take my turn.
Right.
I'm just
Yes.
joking.
Yes.
I think the split's been more 75% me, and then I let you talk a little bit, and then I interrupt and talk again about me, and then I let you talk a little bit. I
Yes.
just let you influence my next topic.
Yes.
What am I going to talk about myself next? I don't even remember what I was going to say. What the hell
Oh
was I going to say?
no! You just after all that,
After all that,
it just flew
no,
out the window.
yeah,
There it
it just
goes.
went out the window. I don't even know. I mean, unfortunately, what? Oh yeah, I want to put things on Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, I published a novel, and it probably
Uh-huh.
was too early, or maybe it wasn't too early. I have no clue. I mean, you write how you write. You could write
Right.
something 1,000 times and make it a little bit better, but it's still the same work.
Right.
I mean, it can have a different kind of beginning, but ultimate whatever that if you're going to be successful is going to be there, or it's not going to be there.
Right.
So I should
Right.
just left that thing up and let it rot, or try to sell it occasionally and see what happened. I mean, what was deterring was that I didn't get any reviews, right? It just didn't seem like anything happened. It just kind of got buried. I didn't know how to market it. So it just kind of sat there. So I'm wondering, should I just publish the stuff I want to publish? That, and I have another novella that's ready, and I have a couple collections that I can put up there.
See?
And that,
Okay. You've got enough material that I would say yes. I say put it out there. I always see. I'll say this, and I'll plug this guy because I really do love his work. I
I'll write
am.
his name down and send him an
Oh,
email and ask him to be on the show.
there you go. I am absolutely a student of Mark Dawson and the self publishing formula. Um, classes and sessions and podcasts that he does, and I belong to a lot of the groups on Facebook that are
Mm,
fellow authors who kind of follow and his educational pieces. And what I see is that, these people who, you know, suddenly decide, hey, maybe I do want to self-publish, and so they have kind of a backlog of stuff. They put it all out there at once. Well, shoot, you've suddenly taken up a whole lot of real estate. That's always kind of a nice boost when you can say, hey, I don't just have one
Oh, that's
book.
interesting.
I have a decent amount of stuff out there, so you have more of an opportunity to get your target reader.
You
Because
don't
it's
think it
not.
hurts to nuclear blast Amazon with like
No,
10
I
publications?
actually don't. I don't think it does. I think that's, because you've got so many opportunities. And again, like I said, it's that read through rate. If one guy hops on and says, oh, there's book number one, I like that, or book ABC, I like that, that was really good, I'm going to go back and I'm going to buy everything, or I'm going to
Hmm.
read through, and because I know I do that as a reader. If I read someone's stuff and I really like it, I'll go back and I'll just buy it all.
We came from the same world. We came from academia, little kid
Yes.
academia, undergrad academia, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you have master's degree. I don't. But I mean, the point being that we have ideas what we want to do with
Mhm.
our stories, right?
Right.
Um, where am I going with this? Jesus, my mind is all over the place right now. I mean, publishing on Amazon, I don't know. So you would think that publishing everything at once is the best bet.
I mean, I mean, I'm obviously not teaching people this, for a living, or teaching people how to market their books for a living or anything like that. I don't see the negatives outweighing the positives. I'm not even sure what the negatives would be.
I just
Um,
worry about diluting. I don't know. Is there something called a brand? Would you want diluted material in the reviews, right?
well, you
Maybe
could.
you write. So it sounds like what you do is you write a lot in a journal and then transpose that into a Word document, almost ready to go.
Oh gosh, no, I wouldn't say it.
No.
I'm an outrageously slow writer. I'll sketch it all out in a giant outline, and then I'll write it, and then I'll let it sit for 2 weeks, and then I'll go back and I'll write it again, and then I'll let it sit for maybe a month, and then I'll edit it. I'm not kidding. I Before it even goes to my editor, I probably edit it 5 times. Like, I'm not even kidding. I am always impressed by these people who put out like 3 or 4 books a year, because I can't get past a book a year. It's like, that's really good progress for me to have like one book a year.
Yeah.
So it's very, very slow process.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm
Yeah.
a little bit of a perfectionist. I'm kind of, I will admit to that. I will sit there and agonize over words.
But you don't write every day, though.
Oh yeah, I do.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Oh
That's
yeah.
important. God, that's important.
2 or 3 hours a day every day. And I feel really guilty if I don't. Like, if I have to wake up in the morning and I haven't done any writing, I'll spend the whole day like, oh gosh.
Oh, I know
Iago's
what I was gonna say. The publishing industry is like like winning money. They're like supposedly 2018 was a banner year for the publishing industry. They
I
made a
heard
lot of money, but the
I heard
authors aren't making nothing,
No,
nothing,
they're not.
nothing. So I mean, it's like the world is saying, if you want to make money, publish. Learn how to do all this shit that you need to
Mhm,
do to make this happen, because you can make money by putting your work out there, because people
mhm.
want to buy work.
Right,
Unfortunately, you're going to get screwed over if you go the traditional. And the reason I
right,
mentioned that we came from the same world is that we both have the same kind of desires to be published
right,
traditionally, to
right.
have Pilgrim or Penguin or whatever on a book
It's always,
cover, because
yeah. I mean,
that would be
it's
wonderful.
always, cool to have that. But at the same time, I will say this. Like I said, I I obviously am not making enough that I can call writing my job. I am doing well enough, however, that I feel like, if this were to continue to grow and I could grow this on my own, maybe I would never, need that, penguin or what have you. It's there are so many different models for
They'll come
publishing
to you, won't they?
anymore. Yeah,
You,
well, that's
you
true.
Howie. I mean, they came to him. They bought his print rights.
Right,
You keep the electronic. We'll take the print.
right.
They just want
But
to get him on a table.
there are so many. I think the digital world has just kind of opened up so many different routes. There are so many routes you can take to publish now, and to get your work into people's hands. It's. It's kind of
It's
cool.
interesting though. How do you do that? Because Twitter recently just said they've been lying about their numbers
Oh yeah,
of
no,
active users. Do you read
right,
that? And it's like they lost 10% stock, something maybe even more
right,
now.
right.
And
Twitter's
I
bad.
felt it. Haven't you felt it on Twitter? It just doesn't seem like there's any
Yeah,
engagement.
I'm not even on Twitter really anymore. I don't know when the last time I updated my Twitter
Are
was.
you a Bookstagram person? That's where
Yes,
she
I
knows you.
am.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
Dana knows you from.
Yes, I am. I'm big on Instagram, and
Let's not say let's not avoid saying her last name. Do you know how to say it? Frederick?
Frederick.
Frederick?
I
Frederick.
I always assumed it was Frederick because I've got a lot of German in my family, and I know you say the second vowel.
I took German and I have no freaking clue. That was my
Oh
language in college.
so I've always assumed that she can, she could send me a message and say, "Oh, Jenny, you're wrong." But
Well, if she sends you a message, that means she's listening. You should let me know
that
that
would
she
be
sent you a
really
message.
weird.
Well, that's cool. That'd be awesome. It's like, yeah, somebody's listening. Doing my job. I don't know how
Right.
to market for shit. I don't. I put up. I do tweet out the podcast. I think
Mhm.
that's marketing, right?
Yeah.
I guess it's not, right? I mean, how do you reach people? Where
Uh,
are people at?
I see. I really love Instagram, and I do still use Facebook. I think Facebook is as far as your actual Facebook pages go. I don't know if they are as effective as they used to be, but I will say this, and again, this is going back to plugging for Mark Dawson and all his stuff. I see so much success from advertising, from Facebook ads and Amazon ads. That's
Interesting.
and I've taken courses on that, and of course I do stuff like that for my actual job. So um it
What
didn't take long for me to make money on that, to actually make money on the advertising piece.
what was your initial budget going
Oh
into the
gosh, I kept it real low. The first time I ever did it, I was so nervous.
$5? That's my
It
budget.
was
That was my budget. $5.
I think the first time I ever did it, it might have been three.
Yeah, I've done
It was
I've done two times. I've done two times on
yeah,
Reddit, and I got
yeah.
traffic. I mean, I got
Really?
traffic off
Good.
of. I know I got traffic off of posting things on Reddit. I got crap from $5 I spent on Reddit. You
Right.
know what I mean? And Twitter
Right.
wants me to spend $100 a month to bump up for them, but I don't. And I guess it works. I think it does work for people,
Yeah,
and
and
supposedly for you it does.
you know what, and it's the interesting thing is you kind of got to go where your people are. Like I see a lot of success with Amazon because I think I am my ideal reader. That's kind of how I always think is, okay, would you buy this, Jenny, if you were, if you saw this ad, would you buy this? So and I know that I do buy from Amazon ads as a reader. I see sponsored products related to this title, and and I actually do look at those. So I kind of tailor that one for readers like me, and then same with Facebook. And the nice thing about Facebook is, and I feel like I'm just like promoting all these entities that really don't need promoting, but
Like,
the
and
nice thing,
Facebook,
and
good.
Facebook,
Make sure you go
right?
to Facebook and start a profile. Help
Thanks,
them out.
Zuckerberg. Yeah, no. But the nice thing about Facebook advertising too is you get that nice big image space. I mean,
Well,
it,
that's the
it
thing, though. Talking
and
about
it
that
looks
wave that people are catching, and that's what people are catching right now. I think you're absolutely 100% correct. If I think about what people are writing right now, it is buying into this advertising market. Give them a little bit extra,
right.
and you get a little bit extra, and hopefully a little bit extra pays for the ad because I don't know if it does. Because you could do it across the board. Everybody's doing it. Google,
Yeah.
Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. I mean, they're all offering you a buy-in. Buy-in will put your stuff up. We'll make
Right.
sure at least somebody will see it.
Right. And it's so, and the other night, I mean, it's a lot of them are so easy to target. You can target it so specifically. Like I think I've targeted ones like before where I said I want fans of Supernatural who also like Neil Gaiman or something like that. Like it was that, and between
Wow.
this and this, like it was ultra targeted. And if I remember correctly, that one did pretty well. So the more you can kind of like target your stuff, target those ads and who's seeing those ads, the
So how
better
do
it
you
works.
feel about the capturing of information, social
Oh,
media wise?
yeah, I'm not a fan of the capturing of information, although my boyfriend always tells me I'm evil because I'm in marketing.
Right? You're the reason that it's happening.
Exactly.
Jenny.
I'll talk
You're the
about
reason.
it's me.
You're the reason.
I'll talk about like geofencing and stuff like that. He's like, "Oh, Jenny, you're evil." But
Yes, my wife works for a certain organization too, and she'll tell me things that she has to do, and I just look at her and think, "My God, woman, what is happening to the world that you're happy with that's happening?" She's like, "It's a victory, though." I'm like, "No, it's not at all a victory for anybody." It's like, oh my
right.
God.
No, it is. It's weird, but like, yes, I'm not okay with the using of information that you are not, and it's kind of it's
But
iffy.
why share that stuff? As far as the
Right.
consumer, if you do like Buffy or Supernatural and Neil Gaiman, and you put it on your Facebook page, why, other than finding things like that, would you do it for? You know
Well,
what I
that's
mean? You're
true.
telling the world, I like this. I want other people that like this to like me. And if
Right.
they like something, I want to know about it so I can like it too.
Right. It's show me the things that are like what I like. And that's why I don't really mind the advertising on Facebook as a consumer. I always kind of have to, you kind of have two hats. You have here I'm the consumer and here I am the advertiser. And as a consumer, it doesn't really bother me because you see things that you actually do want. And I know it sounds, it sounds terrible, but that you're like saying like, good job, Facebook. But
It's very interesting.
because they've done a lot of things that are no, not good job, Facebook.
I know.
But
I'm
when it
kind
comes
of like a
to
I'm a bus bench reader dude. If I find a book laying on a bus bench, I'll pick it up and start reading it. I like free
right,
things. I
that's
love
all.
free things. I love cheap and free. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yes,
probably not going to find my person the best to sell to. You know what I mean? Because it's not
right,
going to give me any money.
right.
Um,
Just leave your stuff on bus bench.
he might be nice to me. He might
Right,
leave a review, but they're never going
exactly.
to give me any money. So that's an interesting conundrum to be facing. Um, no, it's interesting. We are in an age of advertising, and I'm like avoiding it. I don't look at it. If I
Right,
see it, I look away from it. If I have ad blocks all over the place,
right,
I don't want to see the ad. If I see an ad, I get mad. If you want to ask me for money, I get mad. I have workarounds for everything. Newspapers,
right,
paywalls, I have workaround for them.
mhm,
YouTube advertisements, I don't deal with it. I don't like it.
right.
You know what I mean? If I'm going to find
Yes,
something, I'm going to find it. I'm reading all day long anyway. And if I'm not
right,
finding it through my research, I don't need to know about it. I don't think.
right.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
and and that's interesting that you say that. If I'm not finding it through my research, I don't need to know about it.
Found
The
you, right? I mean,
Right.
I
The
know you
interesting
now.
thing is
As a
about
person who likes readers and books, somehow Jennifer Rainey ended up in my, peripheral. I found you through what I wanted. That's interesting, isn't it?
right, and that's the
You
thing
didn't
is
find me. I found you because you're
right.
interesting enough that somebody mentioned you to me.
Right. Well, and the interesting thing is that I think good marketing and good networking, it's not just marketing, it's that networking is kind of what we're talking about here,
Networking. We are now.
happens happens organically so that you don't necessarily think, "Oh, I'm being sold to." You never want
Yeah.
someone to feel that
But
they're
you
being
didn't ask her to do that either. You didn't say,
no,
Dana, that dude that you're going to have that podcast with. Why don't you drop my name? Why don't you drop my
do
name?
me a
She probably
solid.
didn't mention that she was on a podcast with me to you, and you didn't even know about it. So it didn't help at all. She just liked your stuff, and I like science fiction, so the things connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
small thing like that. And she
Right.
goes to BookCon. That's where I met her. So she's
Yeah.
having conversations like that with other people as well. So it's really fascinating to think that you've influenced a person that's willing to market for you for free.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's they always talk about having super fans and stuff like that.
So,
But I don't, and it's I mean I'm not calling her a super fan, but that's always the goal. I think at the end of the day is to get readers who want to talk about you. Like like I just mentioned
well, yeah, you want to get into the
supernatural.
conversation, don't you? You want people
Right,
to can mention you when the
right,
topic comes up where you fit
right,
into it,
right.
right? I mean, ultimately, that's successful. Is that a new type of thing? I mean, we are when we look at. I know we're over an hour at this point. Don't think I'm not aware that I've lied to you already about the time I'm keeping you on here. Unfortunately, at the end of our conversation, we latched onto a very interesting subject
Yes.
matter. Do you want to reschedule with not reschedule? What the hell am I talking about? Are you okay with time,
No,
or do you
yeah,
want to
no,
go?
I'm absolutely okay. I'm just hanging out today. So
Um, well, I'll let you go. Just what the hell were we talking about? My brain again. I'm gonna leave it up to you. If you can remember, we'll continue talking about it.
were well, yeah, talking about how that word of mouth, that
Oh,
how
so yeah, social media,
how
right? Social media is what is
yeah,
the social media thing? It's social. It's not advertisement media. It's not corporate media. It's social.
right. It's, hey guys, you need to, and well, I mean, shoot, and this one was obviously manufactured, but Bird Box. I mean,
What
like the Bird Box, the movie on Netflix, which is not even a very good movie, but the
that
people,
that movie traumatized me. That movie was really well made. It just traumatized me. That movie is horrible. I
but
watched the whole freaking thing traumatized. I had to I watched that movie and put it on pause, and I had to go watch something else and then come back and watch that movie.
right,
I had to clean the slate or cleanse the palate a little bit
exactly,
to continue watching it.
exactly. But it blew up. I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone would have watched it if people had not started going on social media, and admittedly I think some of these people worked for the company, but were and making memes and pushing it and making people say, well, what the heck is this, do I need to watch it, to the point that there was a Bird Box challenge with people blindly
And it
driving
doesn't take
cars
much.
into,
They can hire farms of
right,
iPhones to do that. And
right,
they go through bum 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 50 upvotes, you're visible to a lot
right,
more people and they start upvoting you. I mean, there's an algorithm for it. You can manipulate
right,
it. You know
right,
what they
oh yeah,
say? I think we have our attention glued to Russia right now. We're like, Russia's in our elections or blah blah blah.
right,
But what I think we're going to find out is it's corporate America has got their fingers
there,
twisting things and messing with things and just making things horrible.
I think things are kind of are manipulated to degrees that the average person does not even even realize. I mean, and
Yeah.
even at a perfectly um at low level, and like the stuff we've just been talking about. I don't think a lot of people realize that you're seeing that because you've said something about this at some point, or you've made a post about this, so now these ads are appearing to you. you
But I
know
never look at the ads. You know what I want is a comment. I want the comments. I
Right, the
want the
people
people's
too.
words. Who
Right,
gives a shit, does flashing whatever the hell over here? I look at the article, I glean whatever information I get from it, and then I go back to the source and I look what people say about the article, and then
right,
I move on to something else. Never once do I go, okay, now I'm going to look at this ad for something that's going to cost me money.
right.
Maybe that's a mindset thing. Maybe because I am never ever going to spend any money. Like in a million, if I spend money, something really really amazing happened. Like somebody said something, a book is like Douglas Adams. I was like, I don't
Right.
buy that shit right now, and I want a physical copy of it, and I'll do it because that tickles everything for me. But that's not an advertisement. That's a person that I respect telling me something that I'm going to trust and
Right,
follow through on.
right.
It's
There's
different. There's no
right,
way an advertisement can do that. An advertisement's never going to say Douglas Adams like book. I'm like, fuck you.
right,
Oh,
like,
you're insulting. Oh God, how disgusting. Oh God, I really hate you now, and I'm never coming back to Facebook again. You know what I mean?
right, right. No, it's, and everybody, there are so many levels to the art, I suppose, of getting your product out there and getting sometimes the straight up ad works for a person, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it needs to be the conversation, the personal recommendation, the
Well, I
review.
guess you
It's
got
just
Dana, right? Because you're very personable, and I guess that came through on Instagram. I can't imagine you guys like being phone buddies or whatever. I mean, I imagine Instagram is very forum rich, right? I mean, it's very talking that way, interacting in a written
yeah,
form.
yeah. Instagram is, yeah, it's, and it's
Oh, you
much,
should make videos, don't you? Do you make videos?
I occasionally make videos. Occasionally I do. I post a lot. I'm a serious bookstagrammer. I post pictures of books and things that I buy and everything, and just mostly talk about books. And that's the nice thing about Instagram, is that you really connect with people not only as writers but as readers, so you can have
Yeah.
really nice conversations, because you've got that visual component right up front. You're like, oh, you're scrolling through your feed, oh, what is that book, that looks like something I might be interested in. You scroll down and you see what maybe Dana has to say about it. You're like, oh, that sounds really cool, and you initiate a conversation.
That's so fascinating. And we're
Yeah,
talking about that, aren't we? That's how I get books. I mean, I look at lists. These are the
right,
top 10 books I read this year. It might be written by a professional, in a gloomy magazine or whatever. It might be kind of advertising, but we are talking about the same thing.
right.
We say, these are the three books that I've read this last 2 weeks, and they're they're in order of enjoyment or whatever. You're
Right.
doing the same thing. You're doing what I want, which is telling me the material that's going to make me a better writer or
Right.
give me entertainment.
Right. Right. So it's, yeah, it's all kinds of fun stuff to do to kind of to get your book out there and get your name out there.
What did we not talk about that you think that we should have gone over?
Gosh.
Do you
I
remember?
don't
Did
know.
we have a theme? What was our theme?
Do we have a
No,
theme? Well, we started talking about hell.
chaos.
Um,
Chaos. Hell.
demons.
Most
Um,
chaotic, hellish conversation you've ever been in.
all that good stuff. Gosh, just I don't know. Should I plug my website?
Absolutely.
So yeah, so
Whatever, wherever you want people to direct it at, that would be perfect.
yeah, I mean, you can go to jenniferraineyauthor.com, or you can look me up on Instagram. I am J Rainey Author on Instagram, and like I said, I post a lot of books, a lot of spooky. Every day is Halloween for me, so I post a lot of spooky. My spooky decor. My house is always decorated. Um, all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, J Rainey Author on Instagram, and look me
Twitter?
up.
You don't do Twitter. You don't
I
do
don't
Facebook.
do Twitter anymore. I think my account still exists out there. Maybe I think my account exists so that I can, if I want to, comment on the statuses of or the tweets of pseudo celebrities that I like. So if I ever want to, like, because I follow everybody who's ever been on Star Trek, and I just
Me
will.
too, actually.
There
I
you
think
go.
so anyway.
And so I will occasionally say something to them and hope that I
Will
get
Wheaton,
liked.
man, he's off Twitter. He doesn't like it either. He
No,
doesn't.
yeah, he bailed on that one, which good, good for him, good on him. I've always liked Will Wheaton.
I love Will. He's my favorite from that cast.
He's
Unfortunately, they did him wrong, or he did himself wrong. I don't know
yeah.
what happened there, but
Well, yeah, no, I like him a lot as a. He seems like he's got a lot of good stuff to say, and
I overreached and asked him to be on the podcast. Of course, I got completely ignored and had to go through Reddit to do it. So,
oh,
but still,
well, hey, but then you can at least say that
I would have tried. I mean,
you
God,
tried that.
that
That's
dude, he's in the Secret of Nim.
yeah,
Have you seen
Secret
that?
of Them. Yeah, I have seen.
That was like I watched that movie over and over again as a kid, like a little kid,
Yeah,
and
I
like
could.
my entire life is that dude's been in it. Basically,
Yeah,
grew up with him. It's crazy,
yeah.
and he's not respected. He's totally
He's not.
disrespected by the establishment.
It bums me out. It really bums me out because you see a lot of people kind of giving him crap and
Will, where they scream, "Will, shut
yeah,
up, Will."
yeah, yes,
God,
yeah.
it's horrible.
Like, are you serious, guys?
It's so dumb.
Oh,
He's
but
been
people
in so many
are.
good things. I mean, you said
Yeah,
Supernatural. Felicia Day is like one of my favorites
it
ever,
is.
and she had Will Wheaton and Greg Guild. I mean, that's like the coolest thing ever.
Yes, yes, yeah, she did. Yeah, and she was. That was a nifty character on
Yeah.
Supernatural. But
Dude, this was a great conversation. I'm really happy that I reached out to you. I don't know why I thought you were English, but
that's
whatever. If you had been, I've been cool.
okay. That's all right. I'll take
But just a
that.
little bit disappointed. I don't know. I'm just joking. I love Southern Ohio. I think it's very pretty there.
It is pretty.
Oh,
It's
Columbus though is not really Southern Ohio though, is it? I always consider that
no,
like
that's Central Ohio. I live maybe 30 minutes south of Columbus now.
okay.
I'm getting down into the southern part. I'm kind of if you can say you could say I'm in the northernmost part of the southern half, the southern part of Ohio. If
It
you
gets
would
confusing.
say,
There are
yeah,
no interstates up in that area. I don't think it seems very weird to me. The road
yeah,
system in Ohio.
it is. There's 71 and there's 70, and if you're not on one of those, then good
You're on
luck.
country road.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like a peninsula, isn't it? Because you have it's almost like an island almost. You've
Yeah,
got
you
the
can really
you got
kind
the
of get
Ohio and the
yeah,
Mississippi, and then he just cuts it right there, and that big ass lake right on top.
yeah. And you're kind of, you can kind of get out there and not know where the heck you are. Kind of lose. I'm not that far away from the Hocking Hills, if you know where that is, and
No,
that's
I don't know that. I don't know
it's
Columbus very well at all. I've got family in Proctorville and
okay.
Huntington.
Okay.
Huntington, West Virginia. So I'm really familiar with those areas. I lived down there for a little while, just a few
Did you?
months.
So I got to ask you, if you were in West Virginia, do you like tutors?
Yeah,
Basketball.
yeah. Don't you have them where you are? No, you don't have them
We
over.
have 3 of them in
Oh
Ohio,
my
and the closest one to me is in.
God, I freaking love them so much.
It's the best. It's the best. The closest one is in Xenia, which is not close. It's over an hour away from me, but
I would
so
go
I do.
occasionally.
We actually went this weekend. I went over to
I
Xenia
love them
because
so much. They're
it
like
was
I don't
just.
understand how they're so good.
I don't
I
know, no, and it can't
they're
be
just
good for
really good.
you, but
No, I know they're not good for you at all. And the way they treat you, they know they're killing you as well. And you just
right.
pull up to that window, they eye you like they've already done something horrible, and they just give you this thing, this gigantic, fluffy, perfectly blah. It's
Oh,
wonderful
yes,
biscuit, right?
yes. It's so good.
Buttermilk biscuit. Crazy how good that is. That's like the best thing to come out of that area. You order a pizza in that little area, the tri-state area, you're getting
Yeah.
horribleness. Just
Oh, yeah, no,
horribleness. It's like an insult. Like
it
they
is.
they arrive to your door, they punch you in the face and say, "There's your pizza," and they walk away.
Pizza.
That's
Yeah,
basically what it is.
yes, no,
And you have
do
to pay them $20. Here's $20, and
exactly,
they punch you in the face, and there's your pizza.
and give you a cracker with tomato sauce.
Yeah, something real greasy, and they cut it in squares.
In squares, yeah. Oh, yeah, but yeah, no, shoot. No, my family's actually originally from Point Pleasant, so
Oh, okay. That's about an hour north.
yep.
It's a scary place.
Yeah,
It's
Mothman.
scary.
Yeah.
It's scary besides the Mothman. Even I don't know if the Mothman makes it scary, but it is scary. Driving up that road and that goes all the way up to Ohio or whatever, it's really twisty. It's
Oh,
scary.
33?
Yeah, I
Did
don't
you
know. Is
say
it 33?
33? Yeah, all the way from yeah, all the way through West Virginia, all the way to Lancaster, Ohio. Yeah, it's yeah, all the way through to Columbus. Like, and boy, it gets scary. Yeah,
You know what I wanted
it's
to ask you? Do you put your stories in Ohio as a setting? Where is your setting? I know hell is not your setting.
no. So actually, so the Lovelace and Wick series takes place in a fictional town called Marlow, Massachusetts. It kind of exists, kind of in the same universe as Arkham. There's some Lovecraftian
Oh, cool.
angles going on. The only I wrote a book several years ago now called The Beldame's Eye. That's a ghost story. It takes place in Ohio. It's got kind of a lot of local flavor, and I do have in the Lovelace and Wick series. They go through Ohio at one point, and of course, I had to put in a jab about Columbus. I had to have a joke at Columbus's expense in there, but yeah, I don't do a lot of Ohio writing anymore. I
It make,
used
make an interesting subject matter, right? I mean, you have
yeah,
so many astronauts that came from Ohio and
yeah.
area engineers.
Like
This is
why?
crazy. What's that? Why?
What could the reason for that
I don't
be?
know. Is it because it's flat? I mean, it's kind of flattish. I don't know.
Yes, it's
John Scalzi lives out there in Ohio. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
He's a nice
There's
guy.
a whole lot
He's got the
going.
Twitter thing working out for him.
Yeah, some people really do have it. They've got Twitter kind of, and everybody's different. Everybody's got a social media platform they make work, and then there are some that's just like I can't make Twitter work. I never made
Maybe
Twitter.
there's no such thing as making it work. I mean, I think somebody said, maybe you can correct me, but somebody said there's only so many people that you can hold in your life. Like you can try to shove more people into your life than this number, and people just start falling off. You have no control over it.
Right.
So if you're on social media, you can only interact with boom, and you're only going to have that many people kind of. But six
Right.
degrees of separation is kind of magical because they're going to have their group of
True.
people too.
True. And it is better, I think, in your individual advertising or marketing or networking, what have you. I think it is better to go deep than wide. I always say that. It's, go really good on Instagram and your blog that rather than having Instagram, blog, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and having them all, to go really, really whole hog on one or two and really dedicate yourself to that audience.
Dude, you're a badass conversationalist. This is 90 minutes somehow,
Yes.
90 plus minutes somehow of conversation. So you know what I'm going to do is I'd love to have you back on.
Sweet.
And I have another show. This is basically the same show. I've glued them together. It's Origin, which I'm going to publish you under probably in 3 weeks. I don't know.
Okay.
It'll be soonish. I'm trying to get things out faster.
Okay. Oh, hey,
But
that works.
I had kind of a backlog and worked my way through it. But maybe 3 weeks, I'll let you know. But the second show is called Mirage, and
Okay.
that's more of a topic-oriented show. Again, about an hour long, and basically you pick something that you want to talk about, and we gear the subject in that direction.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So it's kind of like this, where we kind of work our, where we talk about everything, and then we apologize for not talking about that subject at
Right.
the end of it. No, but what would you want to talk about that you got excited? What would be the subject?
Oh gosh. I mean, so
If you want to do
so
Lovecraft, that'd be totally cool.
that's what I was gonna say. Can you like I would love to do Lovecraft.
I've
That
done
would
I did a Lovecraft episode early on, and it's
okay.
not like you do everything. And I'd love to get your perspective on him, or we could do the world itself,
And
which
I'll
would be
tell you what,
fascinating.
I tell you what else I love. I love Lovecraft movies. I love Reanimator and From Beyond and all those movies with Jeffrey Combs, Castle Freak, all that. I love all the stuff.
I
You know?
didn't know there was stuff, man. We'll
Oh,
definitely talk
there
about
is
that then.
stuff. Yes.
We'll dig in because I like the stuff. I became aware of Lovecraft through board games.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's not true. I became aware of Lovecraft through True Crime, True Detective. When that
Oh,
show came, yeah, when they started talking about the Yellow King, I became fascinated,
yeah.
and I
Oh,
dug down a little bit, and I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing."
no, it's an interesting topic, and he was obviously a problematic person, and it's there's so many layers to Lovecraft. I'd
Hmm.
love to talk about Lovecraft.
I mean, I think it fits, right? The racism, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and obviously he
In today's culture, anyway, it fits. You demons you dig up. Does it besmirch the work that they already did?
it's interesting because he created this amazing world, and then you find out what his motivation behind creating this amazing world was. It's like, oh gosh. So but you see a lot of really cool authors that kind of use his world and use
Stephen
his
King's one. I
yeah
use it too sometimes. I mean, I
yeah
think I do. I'm not
and
studied in it, but I'm using it as a flavoring in my own mind. I
oh
mean, I
yeah,
am.
it's that's kind of I that's kind of I do too. It's occasionally there may be a line in one of my books that just kind of refers to the fact that
There's a
y'all
pantheon of gods.
exist, something
There's
like that.
gods go limitless into the universe, and they get
Right,
bigger and bigger and bigger, eating each other, and they're basically just hunting each other down.
right. But yeah, no, that's no interesting topic. I'd love to do
Yeah,
Lovecraft.
let's do it,
I've
man.
actually written an essay about Lovecraft too. There's a published in oh gosh, and now I can't remember. I'm bad at that today. Um, an e-zine a couple years ago, but yeah,
But
good stuff.
that tour.com, I am aiming to do more nonfiction stuff.
Hmm.
I just don't know. I don't know.
It
I'd rather
takes
write
you
a
back
fiction.
to college, is what it does, and you feel like, oh my gosh, now I have to cite my sources, and I have
Oh,
to.
do you? You have to cite sources? I don't
I
want to cite any sources.
I do just because you always want to make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and you don't want
That was always a nightmare for me because I would not capitalize something that needed to be capitalized, and I would fail freaking essay or something. That'd be like the one thing that would lift my grade above a D. I'd be like, God damn it, what the hell? Just tell me. I'm a horrible spot checker. I'm just not good at all. I'm like all trying to be flourishy and poetic, and there's just mistakes. It's like a minefield of mistakes.
to. That's what the
Yep.
editor's for. They can they
That
can do that. Oh,
editor, and I'm quoting the wife.
yes, yes,
Wife.
and all the betas, all the people that you give it to and say, okay, now you have to read this. It's all right.
Nah, you're my friend.
Yes, exactly.
You get punished now.
Right.
Oh man. All right. I'm gonna let you go. This is fantastic. I'll let you know. Do you want to book something now, or do you want me to circle back around and do that at another time?
Yeah, circle back around just because I don't have like I said, I do a lot for work. It's a busy job, and I don't have my work calendar in front of me. Um,
How
but
about I think April. Would that work? Like just as a ballpark figure?
yeah, I'm sure I can get April to work. And I'll tell you what too. It's a pretty my work week. Even though I work a lot, it's pretty flexible. Like if you were ever like this is the perfect day for me, and I didn't have anything else going on, I could step away for a couple hours or what have you. I could we could make it work.
Cool.
it's yeah, it's
Uh,
flexible.
Perfect. Let's do it. I'll circle back around then, and we'll book a specific day. I don't have anything in April right now, and
Okay.
obviously I might want to book you earlier, just because this would be an interesting conversation. And April's like 2 months away.
Right. It's so far away. What the heck?
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Well, try to stay warm. The polar
Yeah.
vortex is attacking again.
I know it's back.
It's back. I don't know
Oh,
what's going to happen in this world of ours.
I
We need
know.
to like, vote for the new Green Deal. That's like the worst name I've ever heard
The
anybody
green.
come up with. They call there's a thing in the house right now called the New Green Deal or something like that. I was like, my God, people,
A new
why don't
green.
you know how to write titles?
Right. Exactly.
You don't need it. You need to hire a marketer. You need to hire
You
somebody
need a
who
sexier
knows
title
language.
than that.
All of you people might be incredibly intelligent, but that's the dumbest thing to call
But it's a
whatever you're
tag
making.
title. Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
Jesus. Anyway, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you and have a good one.